Toke Talk with Mountain Man and the Wizard.
Hey guys, the Wizard back with another Creepypasta edition of Toke Talk. Tonight's Creepypasta is I Met the Devil in a Diner in Texas by Reddit user Shabby Boa. Tonight's characters will be Steve, played by Mountain Man, and Nick, played by the Wizard. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Part 1 of tonight's Creepypasta. Stay tuned for part 2 a little later. All right, hope you guys enjoy.
My parents never took me anywhere. I'd never left our small town before the age of 25. Once I did, I'd realize just how much I loved the road. Most truckers would tell you they have a list of freaky shit a mile long they've seen while out on the road. And in my 30 years, I thought I'd seen the worst. I was unbelievably wrong. I was on my way from San Antonio towards Dallas after making a 7 drop-off. I still had a few hours to go when I stopped at a small diner off 35. I'd missed lunch that day and had to piss like a fucking racehorse. I pulled my rig into the gravel lot, parked around the side of the building, locked up, jogged inside. When I first got inside, there was a few things I'd noticed right away. One, the restaurant was empty. I don't mean there was only a few tables, I mean there was nobody. There was no waiters, no cooks, no anyone. I took a second to look at the door to see the open sign blinking red. I found my way to the bathroom to relieve myself. I figured if anything, I would just use the restroom and leave to find a McDonald's or something at the next exit. However, when I exited the bathroom, I was no longer the only person in the restaurant. Sitting at the bar was an older gentleman. His gray hair was neatly gelled away from his face. He had a dark gray suit that was fitted nicely onto his slender frame. He appeared to be in his 70s and was taking a drag of a cigar as I stepped out. He didn't immediately acknowledge my presence, but after taking another long drag, he looked over at me. He nodded lightly and patted the stool beside himself, gesturing for me to sit down. I was hesitant at first, but figured the guy was probably harmless. I walked over and sat down beside him, looking around for an employee, but saw none.
Can I get you a drink?
He asked, his voice lower than I expected, and a gruff from what must have been years of chain smoking. Just a water? He eyed me for a few seconds. His dark brown, wrinkled eyes scanned my face up and down a few times before he made a move to stand. I noticed he used a cane as he made his way around the counter to the sink. As he began to fill up my cup, glanced back at me.
We don't get a lot of customers here.
He said, sitting a full cup in front of me, leaning his arms onto the bar, watching me. Do you, work here? I asked, taking a small sip. The man chuckled softly.
Sorta. I own it.
I nodded and looked around once more. How long you been here?
As long as I can remember.
He answered, standing straight up.
You hungry?
He asked, turning away from me. Yeah, I could go for a burger or something. The man nodded and disappeared to the back for a few minutes. He returned with the juiciest burger I'd ever seen, accompanied with a pickle and side of chips. He gently sat it down in front of me and then slowly made his way back around the bar to a seat beside me. Quickly dug into the meal, realizing how hungry I was. The man watched me for a few moments before speaking up again.
What's your name?
I swallowed the bite in my mouth and glanced over. Steve, I said quickly before shoving more burger into my mouth. The man nodded slightly.
I'm Nick.
Pulled a cigarette out of his suit pocket and lit it. Held it towards me, offering a hit. I politely declined and finished up my food. Thanks for dinner. It was delicious. What do I owe you? I asked, standing up. Nick looked over at me and smirked.
Son, people who want more than just a meal.
I stood awkwardly, unsure how to respond to that. Okay. Nick stood up and walked over to the entrance.
Food is not what you truly desired tonight.